Hi, how are you? Wanted to do a quick intro to this video and probably the next couple of videos, just to kind of tell you what's a little bit different about them and some different things I'm doing and why I'm doing them. So the first thing is I'm going to, at least in a couple of these, use Chameleon Templates. If you're not familiar with them, I'm going to put some information in the bar below. But my friend Hannah is encouraging me to try these out and see what I think. It's actually a really cool business opportunity kind of in the scrapbooking world. People have parties and use these templates and work with them and find different ways to incorporate them into their scrapbooking. And primarily they do what's called play to create, where they sort of stack the templates and mess with them on pages and then go back and cut paper and figure out how to do that. So that's kind of what I'm going to do in this video that you're going to see this attached to. Is I'm going to use the templates, then go back and cut the paper after I have the templates the template design the basic design kind of figured out using the templates, if that makes sense. It'll make more sense when you see me do it. The other thing that I'm doing is using some paper that I did get from the Doodlebug Incorporated in Jasper, Indiana, and I am going to make some pages for their store, some sort of store displays for some current lines of paper, and I should have those out here, but I don't. But I will put them in the bar down below, exactly what lines this one is. Well, this one's not. That's so weird. But the next couple of videos I'm going to use some specific lines, and in those videos I'll mention the names of those lines. One's by Doodlebug, the other one is by, I don't know, it's a boy line. So in this video, the other interesting thing I'm going to do, or the thing I'm going to do a little bit different after the Chameleon templates and whatever, is I want to, my goal is to talk with you guys a little bit more about my process and how and why I do certain things or why I don't do certain things, and how those things come about, kind of the background. And I'll be honest, usually, even though my videos are a little bit woo-hoo-hoo sometimes, see, I do know that. It's okay. So part of that is I a lot of times have done before I turn the camera on to film the video. And a lot of that is just because I don't have a place where I have all of my stuff out and really easily accessible, especially not while on camera. I have to get up and down to get things. And by up and down, like I have to move the table I'm sitting at out of the way, which moves my tripod, which just would make things crazy if I was doing that all the time while I was making a layout. So I don't do it like that, and I usually try to have out about everything that I'm going to use to make the layout before I make it. Goodness, it is like almost 11 o'clock at night, so sorry about that when I'm filming this. So I usually get all my stuff together, and usually I have that part kind of done before I start filming. So you'll normally see me kind of show you what I'm going to use, and I a lot of times have it laid out on the table and might talk about it or talk about the product or the line that I'm using or whatever. So this time I did do that, but I'm going to talk you through how I did it and exactly what I did to come up with what I was going to use. I actually completely changed from one group of papers to another, and then I'm going to talk you through that process, how I found it, why I changed, what led me to that decision, and then some other things that I'm going to do to enhance that. So that's not going to be me looking at the camera because my face is probably boring, and probably not. So that's where it is. Plus I'm like dressed really sloppy right now, but it's fine. And that's not a Christmas wreath behind me, by the way, in case you care. I mean, it is kind of. It's a wreath, but it has jingle bells on it, which I guess is Christmas, but I've been leaving them out because I really like them, and they're kind of a cool thing. But that's another story for another day. And so, thanks for watching. I'll say that probably a couple more times during this video, but let me know what you think. And if you like a little bit more information and detail about what I'm doing and why, or if that just takes too long and I talk too much, that's fine too. Thanks. Hey there, so the first thing I wanted to talk through on this layout is about a little bit more about the Chameleon templates. So they are, sorry, I have a kind of a mess here. They are essentially little pieces of plastic. I don't know what this is. It's this lovely material here. And what you do with them is you, let me get a better light here, sorry. There, so that's about as good as it's gonna get. Hi, so I wanted to talk a little bit at the beginning of this video about the Chameleon templates and sort of how they work. So they are these little, and they're sort of a plasticky material, poly something probably. Anyway, I could look that up. Maybe I will. Maybe you'll see it on a caption down here. Maybe not. Anyway, and so there's different sets of them. Like this one's going to tell you it's Aspen Court and that it is 3B. That all has a meaning in the system. I don't understand all of that yet. If I decide to become a show person, member, whatever, I certainly will understand that better, and I'll be happy to explain it in future videos. But for now, what I can tell you about their system, about what I've learned from watching other videos and learning other things, and I'm sorry if you can hear some Simpsons in the background, is that the idea of these templates is that you are playing with them until you create the look you want. So they call it play to create, and that's exactly what you're doing here, is you're just sort of stacking them, messing with them, rolling them around, flipping them, flopping them, until you figure out how you want your page to look. So what I decided to do for this particular page here is, because I told myself I'm going to finish cruise layouts before I do anything else, and so that's what I'm going to do. Oh, and I should mention too that, let me pull this one out here real quick. So this one here that's Aspen Court, for example, there's a 3A and a 3B. And what you'll see is 3A and 3B, oops, let me pull these down. They fit together. So if you had a piece of paper that was, let's just see here. In this case, I don't know, it looks like 3.5-ish inches wide. This cuts it into 2 segments, and then you have 2 curves. That works really well, as you'll probably see me use and take advantage of that in a little bit here. Because I'm going to use, the papers I'm going to use are all double-sided. So I'm going to take advantage of the fact that those flip-flop each other, basically. Probably. I don't know, we'll see. I'm not to that part yet, quite. So what I'm doing here, I'm going with the fact that these are all, these templates that I've borrowed from Hannah here today, are all sort of wave look. They have a wave look to them. And I told myself before I am allowed to do anything else and anything more fun or interesting or whatever, I have got to finish layouts from the cruise my daughter and I went on. So that is my plan. That is what I'm working on. And that's what I'm going to get done first. I'm still having a little bit of trouble scrapbooking with my nails. I got my nails done a few weeks ago and I love them and I love the way that they look. But they are still a little bit thicker than my normal nails. They are less thick than when I used to get like acrylics. And I really like that, and that's one reason. They're called dip nails, and I really like them, but I'm having a little bit of trouble with them still. So if you see me struggle a little bit, that's what's going on. So here's kind of what I want to do. Because this is a cruise layout, my idea here is to mimic the waves. The photo that I'm going to use is my daughter with the pirate. This was at dinner one night. On the cruise, this pirate guy sort of walked around and talked to everybody. And it's a great picture of my daughter. She's actually smiling, which is rare and interesting. So I plan to take full advantage of that. So what I'm doing with all of these different curves is just sort of stacking them up so they go together, and just in kind of a fun way. Like so. And I think I've decided that that is basically what I'm going to use as my layout. Now, I may actually end up using a strip of pattern paper behind that, just so that that is pattern paper as well and not a solid. But as you can see, and so all of these waves are going to be different colors of paper. And then my photo, I'm thinking, will go somewhere within that biggest wave, sort of in that area. You know, the other cool thing about these Chameleon templates is not only do they have the main shapes like borders, top and bottom, they have all sorts of decorative accents that you can use. So, you know, I could make the sun come up behind these waves if I wanted. I could do a sun behind the photo. There's banners and chevrons and just all kinds of shapes. Birds. You put a bird on it. Anybody get that joke? Okay, maybe not. There's a flower. What else have I got? I've got a dragonfly I could use. And I've got this scallop, which I'll definitely be using on some future pages for sure. So that's the idea that I came up with to kind of do for this page. Excuse me. The next step after you do that is going to be to figure out what papers you're going to use. So I took a look at this photo and my eye first saw this pirate's reddish colored beard and the brown border around this photo. I don't know, can you see that? Yeah, there you go, I don't know. Anyway. And the like wood plank look around the photo. And to me that said I needed to use brown, some wood look, and that would be great. And I just happened to have, this was a trip she went on with her Girl Scout troop. I happened to have a leftover part of a stack of Girl Scout themed pattern papers. And I've used that a couple of times in the cruise album already. And I did want to use up some things that I have as scraps for this particular layout, since I'm only using kind of small strips of things. I did want to use out something that I've used most of or have as scraps or something like that. So that's sort of why I was leaning towards this layout, plus there's a lot of brown in it and some blue for the ocean and whatever. So I really was leaning towards doing this, and I sort of looked at it and was trying to think, well, what does it go? And then, you know, while the brown seemed to work, and I really thought that the wood would look good, what happens when I put brown against that photo is it sort of loses the photo. The photo just sort of falls into the background. The fact that it has this cool border around it in the frame gets lost. My daughter just kind of fades away. Her brown hair just sort of blends right into this background. I was like, well, maybe I should keep looking, see if I have any other large-ish scraps that would work. So now I will use these on other of her cruise pages for sure as I finish those up, and there may be more videos on that and there may not be. I will probably at some point do a quick flip through of the cruise album. So what I came up with next, the next paper that I found was, I believe this is left over, it might be from my cousin's wedding album. It is this. That is the paper that I found. Now, you will notice, or you could notice, or now you're going to notice, that those flowers on this paper are nearly exactly the same as the flowers on my daughter's dress, which is really my dress that she borrowed for this particular evening. But the flowers from the paper from her dress are a near perfect match. So as soon as I found that I have to use that paper, it's perfect, right? So I found that, and I do have a couple more pieces from that line. And I do apologize sincerely. I don't know the name of this line. I'm fairly certain it's by Prima, but that's really all I know. And I'm sorry I don't have the names of any of the papers or the line because I've cut off the branding strips. So what I have left of it is I have this piece, which on the back is just like, looks like school handwriting, which is different. I have this piece, which is kind of a paint splatter with some pink on it effect. There is rose gold accents on both of those papers. The back of that is just some writing. And then I do also have a scrap of vellum that it has like a metallic rose gold dot to it. As I went looking in my stash, I also located these pink and white words, and while they're not really the same by any means, this has a lot more fun, playful look to it. I'm thinking that maybe in a small dose, in one of the strips that you only see a little bit of, this may work really, really well. So I may try that in there also. And really, that's all I have paper-wise, but I think it's probably going to be enough. I'm not terribly worried about it. I do think I am going to build on this black piece of cardstock just so that if things show through, what you're getting is on the black, because I like the way that vellum looks on the black. I just like the way that all looks on the black. So I think that's what I'm going to build on. So the next thing that I found was I'm going to need probably some way to differentiate her, still differentiate the photo between the layers. And the other thing is, I don't have a lot. I really love rose gold, but I don't have a lot of rose gold in my stash because it's kind of a newer color. So I do have a couple of things. I have, because I just bought them the other day, have some of these little word stickers that have rose gold. They're from Create Paper Gather. I got them at Tuesday Morning. I do have some pink paisley, Oh My Heart. I did not get that at Tuesday Morning. Sorry, boys are being loud again. And I have some rose gold washi tape as well. It's metallic. But my thought was, now we have Star Wars. Yay. So my thought was that a doily would look really great, but I don't necessarily want a bright white doily with all of these other colors and stuff. I just don't know. I mean, it would work, but I also think kind of washes out. What I really want is a rose gold doily. So I'm going to try to make that, and I'm not going to make you watch necessarily, but I am going to show you a little bit about how I'm going to try to do that. Again, sorry for the Star Wars. I'm almost ready to, as soon as I get this started and kind of talk through what I'm doing, I'll put this on fast forward and you don't have to listen to Star Wars anymore. So what I'm doing is, on my craft mat, I'm going to just lay this doily, and I have this. It is Art, it's by Prima, it's called Art Alchemy Metallic Wax, and this is in the rose gold. This stuff is really fun. I've played with it a couple times, like on my cousin's wedding album, and really had fun with it. It smells like vanilla cookies or something. It's so good. So what I'm going to do here is try to color this doily and just see, we're going to just see how that does. And, you know, it may not be perfect, and I think that's fine. I'm not necessarily going for a perfect look. I'm kind of hoping for a rose gold kind of antiqued look on this doily. And I actually think that's going to work very, very well. And so I'm sure there's a right way to use this wax, and that I'm probably not doing it. And I don't really care. Interesting thing about this wax is it doesn't seem to necessarily dry exactly. The couple of times that I've used it, you could go back and kind of wipe it with your finger and still get some wax wiped up. So, you know, a little of it goes a really long, long way. And I actually really like the way that that's looking. I like that you can see little bits of the white along the way. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on I'm not going to put it on fast forward. I'm going to go ahead and stop this portion of the video, and I'll come back when this is done and put you on fast forward to watch me make the rest of the layout. So are you glad yet that I don't talk through that stuff every time I do a layout? Anyway, so here you're just going to see me tracing those curves on the Kiwi Lane templates, and I'm going to get out my trimmer and trim the strip, and then all I have to do is cut the one curve and I get the two pieces of the layout. And so what I did here is I sort of stacked those curves, and you can see that I've already done that for those other pieces, and I do have to erase this one because it's on vellum. And what you'll figure out what you'll notice that I figured out is that the vellum stacks weird against those other pattern papers, but I actually make it work anyway. I try here kind of putting some of that wax along the edges of my paper and think that's going to give it a more distressed or cohesive look. It doesn't end up working very well. It just doesn't. I don't like it. I end up actually wiping it with a wet rag and wiping it, well, it's not really wet, it's kind of damp, and wiping it all the way off because I didn't like it. And it didn't even warp my paper or ruin it, which is kind of cool. So now I'm going to start, and I start with the top layer so that the way they'll be layered I'm going to like. And I put that down, put the next layer down. And what you'll see here is I'm going to end up trimming the whole layout down at the end. I think it needs a little something extra. So you're going to see me kind of do that. And I apologize. I get the papers down and kind of get the photo down, and then it's going to cut out. All I really do after this video is over is the title and a couple of embellishments. So we are getting near the end. You're going to see me tape these down. I think you are going to see me trim down and put it actually on white is what I end up putting it on. And I really like what it adds. Plus the piece that I'm going to add to part of my title, I use some white lettering, and it really makes everything stand out nicely. So I love the way that that doily looks in the end on that. And you'll notice that I did kind of change the orientation of the layout from going vertically to up and yeah, horizontally to vertically. And then I add another strip of paper here just because I had that piece and I really like the way that it turns out. I grab a tiny strip to sort of band that, and it's busy, don't get me wrong, it's really busy when it's done, but I think it's pretty cool. So since I'm only doing a single photo, I can add a lot of paper and still really like the way that it looks. So here it is almost done, and that's just about it. I had to cover the where I use the adhesive on the vellum. I move it around a little bit because I needed to cover that vellum. I put that strip down, and then that's really what you're going to see as the layout. So here I just add the photo on the doily and tape that down, and then the only other stuff I'm going to add is, like I said, is that title. So thanks again for watching. It's going to cut out here, and I'll show you a finished photo at the end. I really appreciate you guys. Don't hesitate to leave a comment about what you think about this little bit longer process video. Oh, and I do add some washi tape. Apparently you can't see that, but I'm going to add some rose gold washi along that strip at the bottom. So that's the layout, and let me know what you think of the finished design. Again, sorry I didn't get all the embellishment. I was having family drama, so you know how it goes, I'm sure. But I do add that rose gold washi, and that's where the white part of my title ends up laying. Just sort of why I added that. I'm trying with the lights, I don't know. Anyway, bye!